Welcome, everyone. I have my good friend Izzy here. Today, we're going to be asking some questions about what's it, what it's like to be an artist, because everybody wants to know about an artist's life, right, Izzy?
It's true. Everyone wants to know how much we suffer on a daily basis.
It's not no, but yeah. I guess I'm just gonna start off with what influenced you the most growing up. I feel like that's a necessary question that we have to start with.
Um, like influence, like families and friends, kind of thing.
Yeah, like what influenced you to act the way you are, and I guess you could draw the way you are, like you know.
Um, I'd have to say, it was mainly friends. I
Oh yeah,
mean, kind of sob story time. I didn't really have the best early childhood.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I would say, all the like teasing and bullying and stuff was like up until like end of middle school, and then most of my influence came from high school, where I actually like started actually like people were like, hey, you're actually not that bad. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah, yeah,
So it was kind of that positivity that I got really late that kind of pushed me to like
yeah, yeah,
be who I am. And I'm still like really shy person, but I'm like college is kind of like opening me up to it, I guess. So friends and family, because my family's always been the supportive type.
yeah. That's good. Usually, I think it's. I heard this. I forget where I heard it exactly, but um, I think once you're in like eighth grade, you start to open up more, and then once you go into high school, you start realizing who you are. So that happens for mostly like everyone, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just moving on from like your actual personal life, when did you start learning to draw? Like,
uh well, I mean, I didn't learn, I kind of taught myself, kind of thing. It's kind of like one of those things like, hey, take this, just draw, and then just work on it.
yeah,
I used to be a furry.
yeah.
it's it's pretty um
Yeah,
uh
yeah.
I want to say maybe seventh grade is when I kind of started taking it seriously, and then eighth grade I was like, hey, I want to do this for a living, because this is the only thing I've really only cared about, and the only thing I felt I was good at, because sports are hard,
Yeah, yeah.
and being a student in school is hard. So why not just draw for a living and potentially waste my whole life trying to struggle as an artist and make money for my family in the future?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I want to say seventh grade, and then I started taking it seriously freshman year, because you have to start like thinking about what you want to do in your future. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you on that.
mhm.
Now this is a fucking this should be an easy question to answer, but what do you find the most difficult to draw? I know for me it's like I struggle with feet definitely, but mm, I would say feet mainly for me. What about you?
I want to say facial expressions.
Oh yeah,
It used to be just anatomy in general, but I feel like I've kind of jumped over that barricade. So it's really just varying facial expressions for me, because like no one ever points it out, but I personally feel like I draw a lot of the same faces, and I'm trying to like work on that, and I'm hoping being in art school and all is gonna like help that in a sense, but it's always been like faces for me.
yeah, yeah. Would you say that there's anything that you draw that most people don't like backgrounds, certain backgrounds, or certain like body parts, or just like certain people, you know?
Is there like what do you mean by that?
Um, like say it's like something that most people don't usually draw that you happen to find like interesting. Is there anything like that?
Um, I think uh let's see here. I don't really know. I mean, it's never been about what people draw for me. It's really always been about how people draw it.
Yeah,
So I pay more attention to like the coloring styles. Like one of my inspirations, Crooked Glasses on Twitter. She has like this really like eye poppy style, and
Hmm.
it's like bunch of different colors for shading. And I've always like found that interesting because you know how people try to make shading like really realistic or like to the point where it's interesting and like kind of helps with the composition. With her, she kind of just like goes all out with it, and I've always like been like, hey, that's new and exciting, and I actually really like that, and she pulls it off so well.
Yeah, yeah. I know the person you're talking about as well. Yeah, I think she's
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. Um, what motivates you to draw? I don't. It's
uh Things I like, really.
yeah, yeah,
Like, you know, basic like, oh, I don't want to say I don't want to say YouTube, but sadly that's kind of always been there for me. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
came, like, you know how everyone starts on tumblr.com with, oh, hey guys, this is my art blog. I'm gonna post my art on here, and I'm gonna tag in maybe big YouTuber San will see me.
Yeah.
But it was actually like that for me. Like, I used to draw for the big Cryatoic,
Oh
big
yeah, yeah,
man, big man, good guy, love him
yeah.
to death. But and then that escalated, and I met people like Ariwa and my friend Lucius and a bunch of other people. And then when I moved from Tumblr to Twitter, that whole circle just kind of expanded, really. Like, I
Yeah.
met you through Ariwa, and now I'm meeting so many other people that I never thought I would have the chance to talk to. And it's so weird how that can come from this one small Tumblr fandom.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, people always say like YouTube has changed my life so much, but it, like, for me, like, I really wouldn't have all the friends that I have if it weren't for creating something for a creator.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. Like I started off on Twitter as a kid, just trying to get the attention of like big YouTubers drawing art. Like it wasn't. I started to take it more seriously as I went along, but in the beginning, I was like a real like dick writer. like
We've come full circle.
yeah. um, yeah. I would say where was I going with this? I completely forgot.
Oh god.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Like, I wouldn't have met a bunch of my friends unless I had like made fan art, basically. Like, it's really cool, and I don't know. I just it's really cool. That's all I can say.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Uh, moving on from that, what type of environment did you grow up in? I know you kind of like halfway answered that like in the first question, which is fine. But what type of environment did you grow up in, and do you think that it affects the way you draw or what you draw?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like I've always grown up in like two environments. I have the really supportive environment at home,
Hmm.
and then the really drama kind of environment that I grew up in when I went to private school, which,
Oh yeah.
oh boy, that's a journey. But now I'm still kind of in those two environments. Like, I have the environment whenever I talk to you and all the other friends we have, it's like really uplifting, and like, if I'm ever bored, I go there because it's entertainment for me because I get to talk with other people that have common interests as me. And then at home, my mom and dad have always been supportive of what I do. Like, no matter what, they're like, "Hey, you want to do this? Go ahead and do it." And I know most families aren't like that these days, so I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed that like, I actually have a family that's like, you know, still good together and supports each other, and like, they've always been like, "Hey, you want to go to SCAD? It's expensive, but okay if that's what you really want."
Yeah,
So,
I think that's great.
mm-hmm,
Um, Speaking of SCAD, because I know you're going to art college right now and you're learning and getting a degree and shit. So, what do you
mm-hmm.
plan on doing with art in the future?
Uh, it's still like a work in progress, really. I'm gonna be well, I'm not gonna be, I am a sequential art major starting next quarter.
Hmm.
I want to go into storyboarding, kind of like animation, all that stuff, since you kind of already like deal with that field a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
I've always found the actual process of drawing each frame out like more appealing than actually like putting all the in-betweens and all the work in. And it's like so satisfying to know that like you see it on the screen knowing that you were a part of it,
yeah,
but that's like, and some of the work on the screen is your work. So I've always been more interested in that than actual animation.
yeah.
And plus with the sequential art thing, it's not just that, it's also comics.
Oh,
And comics have had like such a big influence on my life. Like,
yeah,
not like superheroes and stuff like that, but more so like if you see a comic that's really relatable and I like, you're like, hey, I can relate to that.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just gonna like, stupid little comics on like sheets of paper. Like, here's a thing, this funny crack a joke kind of thing, and that's kind of what I want to do, which is like another one of my inspirations. Fucking Jen Rose with her
oh
comic.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's always been such a good inspiration to me for wanting to go into sequential art.
yeah. Uh, I understand where you're coming from, especially with the whole like comic thing, wanting to start comics, because comics and storyboards, they're basically, I would say one in the same, because you have to worry about like the main like I wouldn't say poses, but like main action sequences in like the frame, like
Hmm.
for comics and animation storyboarding, which is
Yeah, they really do go hand in hand, and people don't really like realize that. It's like, oh, you're gonna be a storyboard artist, but you're a sequential major. I'm like, yeah, they're basically one and the same thing.
yeah, yeah. As long as you understand motion and stuff, and that's fine.
Hmm.
Um, so going off of that, what do you think inspired your art style the most?
Definitely other people.
Oh yeah, dude,
Um,
same for me.
like literally, like okay, so in my past, sad Izzy, like,
Yeah.
whew, that's a time. But when I drew furries, I took a lot of inspiration from other people's styles. And this was a time, on deviantart.com where people were like, excuse me, that art style looks like someone else's. You're not allowed
Oh,
to draw like that. I'm like, oh,
terrible.
okay. So that's kind of like a thing that really kicked up my thing to be like, hey, I'm not going to draw furries anymore. I'm going to draw actual people.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. At first, I just kind of started like drawing, and it was really like anime and stuff like that. But and then it kind of just like developed. Like I never really like I saw a few things that I liked, like my friend Sarah Honeybits. Her like she's always been a huge inspiration for me, and other friends like my friend Allie and a bunch of people in the Game Grumps community. They have so many like great styles, and I like look at those. I'm like, hey, I like it, this aspect. I'm gonna like mess around with that a bit, but I don't feel like my style is, I don't know, similar to anyone else's. Either that or like no one's ever told me that it's similar to someone else's, but it's really just it just happened, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that's kind of the same for me. It's the same for most artists, I think. Like when I was growing up trying to draw and shit, like I sometimes tried to force my art style, and that's not what you should do. You should just let
Oh
it
yeah.
happen naturally. Like I as a kid I drew a lot of like Dragon Ball Z, and I kind of got Akira Toriyama's art style, and that's a big influence on me. Akira Toriyama just in general, even though like he has like the whole same face syndrome and shit, it's pretty bad. But I would say for me personally, it would be Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama, and all that, plus other artists, which is kind of weird because it's like I take things that I like and I go with that. You know what I mean? Like not even like
Yeah.
like subconsciously, like just picking
Like
up.
you don't mean to, you just see it and you're like, I want to try that
Yeah,
kind of
which is usually how most art styles get like developed.
thing. Mm-hmm.
All right. I think this will be our final question for now.
Oh hell yeah.
Do you have any hobbies outside of art?
You mean besides video games?
Yeah.
Besides playing Overwatch every single day of my life?
I have no life. Help.
I have no life. Oh my god. Uh, I'm. I used to do sports,
Yeah.
but then I twisted my Achilles and kind of like messed up both my ankles for the long run.
Oh man.
But something I like to do. Let's see. I don't know. I
Like,
guess.
it doesn't even really have to be like a thing that you do all the time. Like, if you like sing in the shower, like just sing like anywhere. Just that's could be considered a hobby, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I do some of that stuff like that. Like, my friend Camille, she's a you type A, a YouTube vocalist.
What?
Um, and I did some stuff with her, and that's I guess a hobby. So I have experience with that kind of stuff. And then the whole everyone tries YouTube once kind of thing. So video editing, like I actually like most people are like, oh, editing is so
Oh,
fucking tiring, but God, I love it so much
dude,
because you
so
get to
do
mess
I.
around with so many functions,
Yeah, yeah.
and you
Like,
get to like when it comes all together, you're just like, hey, I made that from scratch, and it's pretty good.
yeah, I love seeing the finished product of like editing that I've done. It's just so
Mm-hmm.
nice. Like that's one of the reason why like I want to start doing more of these like interviews. You know what I mean? Because I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
editing. Like, yeah. But what were you saying?
It's just like because like with the recent rise of face cams,
Yeah.
it makes me like really appreciate videos like Ed's video that he did on the Purge
Oh
because
God, yeah.
so much editing went into that. Like you have to like the fact that like brings so much personality to it, and that's like we were joking around earlier how like art in YouTube really like oh this is such a big influence in you, but like
Yeah, yeah.
I really feel like it brings so much personality to it when everything is literally from scratch or you take bits and pieces of other content to critique it, and I feel like it's so much more effective in that way.
Yeah, yeah. What you were saying about like how art and most communities go hand in hand, I agree with that because it's like it you need creativity in a community or else it won't like work. Like
Mm-hmm.
most creativity comes from other artists, like not even artists, like most content creators, like singers, songwriters, everything. Like a community needs to be built upon creativity from other people, not just the one person. Like say like vloggers and shit, like they don't get fan art. Their communities are like fucking so separated with each other. You don't even know. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of an irrelevant person, but Tobuscus, he'd be a good example, I think.
Oh, that's an example.
Yeah.
I mean, like, when he used to like do more gaming stuff, he like I feel like most of his, art that he got, it
hmm
was definitely like commissioned, but like
Yeah, yeah. It
it's
like
such a dead community because there's like not much you can really do, I
yeah.
guess, so to speak.
I feel like artists making that show how much they appreciate the content creator, and they definitely get appreciation back for it, which is really nice. It's like kind of like a circle, basically, just like a
Yeah. That's why I really like the commentary community because it's so built off of artist and
yeah, yeah,
you and video maker like working together. It's like the most hand in hand community I've seen because they're like you have a chance to like communicate with them and like heck I've made friends with like Alex and Brandon and all these other people that and they've instead of me going to like them just like with fucking art they've like come to me for the trending
oh
topic
yeah.
art and
I'll
I'm like hey that's a first and that's pretty good.
I'll say this: people like Nile, Paracynical, Zabtai, a bunch of people, they appreciate art so much. Like people like Brandon and Alex, like everybody in this community, I can like fucking they just appreciate it so much, and I really respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it. I love this community. This is real good.
We love you all.
we, we love you.
Anyways, I think we're out of questions for right now. So, thanks for watching? Question mark? I don't know if I'm gonna do more of these.
Question mark exclamation point.
Yeah. Anyways, this was fun. We should do more of these.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. We will see you guys. We'll talk you guys later.
See you guys in the next video. It's coming for good.
Jesus Christ.